What's going on, guys? Romer the Romer here. I'm joined with Dan and Dylan today, and these guys have been crushing it over the last week. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been tuned in to the live workshop, which has been amazing. But for anyone who hasn't tuned in, these guys have sold 30 million on Amazon, and that's all through wholesale. They don't have a warehouse. They're able to connect with manufacturers and get products shipped directly to Amazon. It's kind of like the dream, you get a product shipped to Amazon, it sells, and you're good to go. You got money coming in your bank account. Obviously, there's more to it than that. They've really broken down a lot over the last few days, and they're about to break down some more Q&A questions, whatever questions you guys have. We're going to hop into that. And I have some questions myself, so let's get into it. Steve's saying my audio is messed up. Can you guys hear me good?
I can, yeah.
Good. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, let's dive into it.
Yeah, guys, and any questions you have, just go ahead and submit them. We're happy to hear, to answer anything that you want to know about, whether it's about Amazon selling, whether it's about our program, the Wholesale Formula, which enrollment closes for that tomorrow. Whatever you want to know about, we're happy to help while we're here.
Steve is saying, I'm going to fix my mic real quick. So one of the questions I've been getting from a lot of people is, do you need a warehouse? And I've been on Clubhouse. I don't know if you guys have the Clubhouse app yet, but I've been talking to different wholesalers about this. Do you actually need a warehouse to do this? And is there like a point where you scale up big enough to where you should transition to a warehouse? Coming from people who have sold 30 million plus, what's your opinion on that?
This is one of those situations where I believe that people should honestly start building the business the way they want it. We originally had a warehouse, and that was like, we started our business. It feels like in the Stone Age at this point, because it's like dog years. How selling online goes, things change so fast, and but whenever we started, there was no such thing as prep centers. You couldn't have people ship direct and stuff like that. And it's evolved is the point. So in 2018, we eliminated our warehouse. We've not had a warehouse since. All of our products are processed by either sent directly to Amazon, or they're sent to a prep center where they're processed. So it's our opinion that you absolutely don't need a warehouse. Like, we don't have a warehouse. And I think whenever you start setting up your business to do that, like whenever you start setting up your business to operate remotely, you give yourself a lot more freedom. Like, and part of that was why we made the switch. Like, we got to the point where we were like coming and having to deal with a warehouse all the time, and it's not the business that we wanted. It's, for us, it was something that offered a little more freedom, able to spend time with our kids and stuff like that.
I like working from home, man, and that's what's great. It's like when you have a warehouse, it's a lot harder to work from home because you got to go to that warehouse, make sure everybody's doing their job and moving the business forward, and just not for me. So I prefer, is it an expense for us to use a prep center for some of our stuff, right? Like, does it cost a little bit more? The answer is yes. Is it worth it for the lifestyle that I get to live? Yes.
Yeah, I like what you said. You said you're not focused on saving money. You're focused on ways to make more money. And I think that's really powerful, not just for a wholesale business, but any business, because a warehouse really cuts down on expenses. You're able to save X amount per unit, but you're more focused on finding more profitable units. And that's really what's going to move the needle forward in your business. You can save as much as possible, but if you don't have profitable products, it doesn't matter.
I mean, we've always been proponents of that. Like, we've always been proponents of running your business on offense as opposed to defense.
You trying to get above that question? Did you scoot up above? Kind of cutting you off a little bit. About Stuff is asking, can you talk about what I need to get a wholesaler's account? And I'll take the question away so we can see Dan's face.
Yeah, so we teach this so that we have a webinar replay that's up right now. We have in our the workshop Facebook group that you have access to. There are replays from the workshop that explain this, but I can do it in as quickly as possible here.
I'll link that Facebook group below. It's not currently linked, but for everyone watching the replay and everyone that wants to come back to this video later, the link to the Facebook group will be below.
Yeah. So how we get accounts, right? There's two ways that you can get wholesale accounts, and one is to use wholesalers and distributors, which we do not do, and we do not use them to buy or order product, because those are middlemen that mark up prices, and and to get an account with them, all you have to do is have money. They'll approve you to buy the product, but it'll be at a more expensive price. What we do is we contact the owner of the brand directly. We contact the brand owner, the manufacturer of the product directly, to become one of their approved, official, authorized Amazon sellers. And usually, when you reach out to contact them to become one of their approved, authorized Amazon sellers, they want nothing to do with you. They aren't looking to add any more direct accounts or add any new partners where they would sell to you direct. But what we do and how we convince them otherwise, by providing them and offering them values and showing them ways that we can help them on the Amazon platform where their current Amazon sellers and current partners aren't doing. So we become basically like retail partners for name brand products, for great best selling products is like a simple summary I can give on that. But but that's how. And I can go on a little diatribe here about that. And it's like, let's think about it big picture. Let's think about business in general. And we live in the United States. I assume most people that are connected here are from the United States. And in the United States, what we have is capitalism. And the key to capitalism, the key to business success under capitalism, is how it was built and created, and the purpose of it is it's all about competition. It's all about, like that's what the purpose of it anyway. And so you have to you have to serve and provide value. So you've got all these Amazon sellers that aren't helping brands and aren't providing value to brands, but if you're the person that is and is helping to serve them and there's a symbiotic relationship where you help them and then they give you access to the best possible pricing for their product so that it helps you, that's how you win and succeed. It's by being the best and just being better than other Amazon sellers. And that's what we do. And that's what we offer to brands, is to be a better Amazon seller than their current ones.
Right. Yeah. I love that approach, because while I haven't called anyone yet, I'm starting building my list, building my list of potentially profitable products. That's like step number one. And then what Dan and Dylan recommend after you build the list is start reaching out to suppliers via email or phone call. And I haven't reached out via phone call yet, but I imagine one of the biggest responses I would get is, we don't want any more Amazon sellers. We don't want you to sell on Amazon, blah, blah, blah. And you can just obliterate that objection by your approach. You're providing massive value, optimizing the listing, actually getting other Amazon sellers booted off the listing. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff you guys are doing there. So what would make me nervous getting into wholesale is that whole dynamic right there, that people don't want to work with Amazon sellers, and you guys found a way around it to provide massive value to the manufacturer. So it's really like, if you can articulate yourself well on the phone, it sounds like it should be a pretty easy sell.
Or if you can articulate yourself well in an email, because it works both ways. Yeah.
We got About Stuff asking, do I need an LLC or reseller license?
Yes. In terms of an LLC, that's kind of more like a personal decision, right? Like, there's several different corporate structures you could use. You could use an S corp, you could use an LLC, you could be a sole proprietor. What we found is, inside our community, that the vast majority of people choose LLC. Like, it's just easier than one of your more corporate structures, but it still has a lot of the same kind of protections that a corporation has versus being like a sole proprietor. So that's what we see as the most common. As far as a reseller license, that's like a driver's license for B2B transactions, or what they call business-to-business transactions. Like, effectively, what they want to see is they want to see that you're a business, and that's the most common documentation to show them.
Yeah, and just to summarize a little bit, so if the question, I'm going to reword the question a little bit. It's like, do I need an LLC to start to buy wholesale, or to buy products from brands? And the answer is no. That's not like a requirement that they like. Oh, let me see your LLC. Like, that's not a thing. Your decision to form an LLC or not is kind of, like Dan said, a personal decision, or maybe a tax-based decision that you should ask your CPA about or whatever. But a resale certificate is something that brands will ask to see, and you want to have it anyway, because what a resale certificate does, right, and every state is has one of these, except there's a few states that don't, where you don't even need it. But most states have your own that you get from your state, and the purpose of it and why you want it is because when you have a resale certificate and you buy from a brand owner and a manufacturer, you don't pay sales tax for the product. And that's important because that saves in some states, federal sales tax, it saves a lot of money. So with a resale certificate, you don't pay sales tax when you purchase the product. Big deal. So that's why you want it.
Yeah, and that'll help everyone running a book business too. Everybody should have that resale permit for your state, because I think for my first year in business, buying and selling books, I didn't know about that. And I just spent so much on taxes. So that can really boost your margin a lot. Teresa's asking, how do we get a wholesaler?
Yeah, so we just kind of covered that one, is by offering value. It's to understand the difference between wholesale and distributors versus like going to the brand direct.
Is that the second time I asked that one?
It wasn't the same one, but it was the same question, but it wasn't the same person.
It's early morning Pacific time here.
No worry.
She's asking software ?
Software, sure. I that's easy to answer, right? Software. So when you're first starting doing our business model, reverse sourcing wholesale, you don't need a whole lot of software. There's only one piece of software that I think is basically like, if you're not using it, you're just kind of dumb, because it's too powerful not to be using if you're doing our business model, and that's Helium 10. Or managed by stats, which is kind of like the same thing, and same kind of software under a different hood. So Helium 10 managed by stats, and even Jungle Scout is also really powerful as well. So those are three software that to do what we do effectively and have all the data and research power that you need one of those to get started. But that's it. That's the only software, unless I'm just forgetting something. But those are the only ones. You just pick one of them that you would need.
Right, like, all of our scouting techniques can be done manually. It's just so much slower. Like, the point is if you're doing it manually, like you're really not taking advantage of the huge pickup in time you would get from one of the software. So it's best to use one of the ones that Dylan mentioned. Our choice is Helium 10.
Yeah.
We got Christian Gonzalez saying, "What up, guys?"
Hey, what's happening?
Appreciate everybody tuning in live here. We got Shay Ryan saying, how much do you make on average each month?
Let's see. I can about math it out. I can about math it out with our existing accounts. So I mean, just on, well, let's put it this way. I'll just do it based on our two biggest accounts, right? Our two biggest accounts, that, and I just want to be clear with people, right? Like, our two biggest wholesale accounts are things that like we culminated into them. It wasn't something like we landed them early on, and we've just been kind of lucky ever since then. It was like years of putting in the work and the effort, getting better and better at this business model, and better as an Amazon seller, that ultimately led to us landing and having two premier wholesale accounts that generate a whole lot of profit, right? And I also want to so there's a lot of work that went into this over time, that we were able to land these. One of them right now pays us out about $21,000, I think it's about $21,000 a month. The other one, I don't know off the top of my head, but I think it fluctuates a little bit based on the season. Right now it's super high. Right now that one's paying us out like probably closer to $30,000 because it was so cold in February. But on average, it probably is around $18,000. And both of those are gross profit numbers. Just on those two accounts per month. So on two accounts, you're around $40,000 gross profit per month. But our costs after that aren't very high. So just to think about that on two wholesale accounts, I would say our gross is about $40,000 and our net per month on those two accounts only is about $30,000. But that's just me going off the top of my head. I'd have to look into it. $30,000 net profit per month on just 2 wholesale accounts.
So for like monster wholesale accounts like that, or maybe like home run products rather, what would you recommend? This is a question coming from me. What would you recommend we look out for? Is there like, because I know you guys have like the baseline, the I think you guys call it the 4-point checklist or something like that. What would you recommend in order to really make sure that it could potentially be one of these products that can bring 5 figures a month?
This is actually a great question. I know how I'm going to answer it, but I'm going to let Dan start.
No, for us, it's like Dylan said, it's important to remember these things are built. Like these types of accounts are built, not one. So whenever we looked at the, I'm looking back, thinking back to the first product, and it was a hassle and a disaster, and all of the things that would make it make most people give up. I'm sure there's this is the reason the vast majority of people just gave up. Like whenever we were on that listing, whenever we first took over the listing, it had 70. We were like 76th seller or something like that, and the listing was in complete disarray. So but the thing that made us the thing that made us attracted to it and really like it is, despite all the problems in the listing, despite everything, the product still sold incredibly well and got great reviews. So it was, I think the hallmark of a good product is, despite its listing, that it's going to sell well and get good reviews. So our best products have that. Like, they make a great product, and they were being undermarketed and underrepresented. So it's like, we love, and it's always funny. Like, when me and Dylan are kind of going through these things, I'm immediately pulled to the ugliest stuff. Like, if it's, and what I'm talking about is, I love those pictures with like the hero image, like the main picture you see on an Amazon listing with like carpet in the background. I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, because it shows me all of the potential.
There needs to be a software that searches for carpet in the background and just puts all the listings out there.
Right. So I don't know what Dylan will say, but for me, it's literally seeing. It's always that diamond in the rough scenario where you see a product that sells well, gets good reviews, but is literally just being completely mismanaged.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Because like I just have to do like some of the pattern recognition of some of our great products and brands and accounts that we've picked up over the years, and the ones that I've seen other people get. And I think that there's some when it comes so our criteria and things that we teach and we taught in the workshop, right, and that we teach in the Wholesale Formula, and our webinar last night and stuff like that. So we primarily teach how to find a good prospect. But if you want to go deeper and like, what is a home run, like an absolute home run product that can look like that could be bringing you in $100,000+ a year in profit? There are a few factors that you can find with those. Sometimes you shouldn't actively try to only look for these. You should kind of let them more come to you, kind of thing, because sometimes there's a little bit of luck involved, obviously, with a lot of things. But everything Dan said is absolutely true. So I'm going to reiterate some of those points. One is that the product is actually good. That means customers like it because if you sell a whole bunch of a crap product, then it usually comes back to bite you eventually, right? So it's a good product that people would like and enjoy if you were able to sell a lot of it, and the listing has a lot of potential. Every brand that we've turned into a home run, it was a good product that had a bad listing, and that we were able to get in kind of early with that brand, right? And where it's just like they have not reached anywhere near their success potential on Amazon, and we were able to 10x, 2x, 5x, 10x their result by fixing their Amazon listing with problems, by correcting problems or adding content that they didn't have before. So that's a big part of it. Good product that has high potential, but they have crappy Amazon listing. I think another factor, this is one that you can't control and you don't know, but they have to have a good owner. Meaning the company has to, the people with vision at the company have to be willing to to work with you, have to be willing to care and understand Amazon and online sales and the value of it. You kind of have to have that. Because there have been plenty of times where we found a brand that had great opportunity, but the owner or the people that we talked to just didn't get it. They just couldn't understand it, or they weren't willing to do the things to move it forward. So sometimes that needs to happen. And then the size of the brand, I do think matters. There is a Goldilocks zone, as we'll say, where there, the whole Goldilocks concept, the porridge was too cold or too hot. There is a just right with size of brand, where I think like your ideal brands are companies that do between, I'd think, like about 5 and 30 million, or between 5 and 50 million a year, Dan, or you think it's a little bit more narrow than that, like the company in general, not just on Amazon, but the company in general?
I think it's a little bit more narrow and probably a little bit lighter. Like I say, 2 to 10 million is probably like the real big sweet spot for us.
Yeah. A company that's just $2 to $10 million a year in revenue it's like a company that size is like the perfect target, because they're not too big to where they won't talk to you and they don't want anything to do with you, but they are the right size where they have a lot of room for growth. They're still in that growth mode, and you can actually talk to someone who matters at a company of that size. We've worked with $10 million companies that have 3 employees. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, it's not unheard of.
Right. So we got another question coming in. I self-reflect says, what's the benefit of having a partner with this, or is it best to do this solo? Once you have numerous accounts, would that make a difference?
I mean, I don't think you should look at a partnership or a business setup based on an individual wholesale account. But I think I can say this: like, having a business partner is either, for the most part, very good or very bad. Like, there's not a lot of in between.
There's no okay partnerships.
Right. Like, and a partner, it's like almost like a business marriage, so there's that aspect of it too. And you when you have a partner, you guys have to make decisions together, and it brings up an interesting dynamic. And a lot of that is built on trust and, just built on trust and also understanding like the various strengths within the dynamic. So it's, I think partners can bring an awesome dynamic. Like, for us, it was interesting. Me and Dylan took a personality test. I think it was like 2 years ago. Back when we had an office.
Yeah, like a business personality test or something. I don't know what you call these things.
Right. It was some kind of assessment where somebody came in and assessed all the people in our office. And so they had a grid where it was like a, kind of like a grid right there. Me and Dylan were literally on the opposite ends, like exact polar opposites. And I think that brings a lot of dynamic, good things to our business. It brings a lot of good perspective. But we've also worked and understand each other's strengths. So it's like we operate with something called a 51-49 balance, and that's if something falls into Dylan's sphere, like I give input, but he ultimately makes the decision. And same way with me, it's like if something falls into my sphere, he gives good input, but ultimately I make the decision, and we're very comfortable with that. So I think it can be good, but it can also go the other way.
Yeah, it's so hard to give recommendations on that sort of thing, right? Because it's more of like a real personal. I can't tell you, right? But I can give some like some of our perspective. Dan and I, neither one of us owns any business outright, and we in every business that we own, we have partners in them, whether it's one partner or multiple partners, and that's always made sense for us, but it doesn't make sense for everybody. For a lot of people, you're better off going things at it alone. But I just don't think that I'm qualified enough to tell you which one that you are.
Yeah, it makes sense. I've heard the number one cause of businesses failing is bad partnerships. Like,
I believe that, yeah.
Bad relationship with the partner. And I've also heard this, and this is something I think is powerful. 50% of a good deal is better than 100% of a bad deal. So if it does come to the point where you do need a partner, like, consider, what strengths are they going to bring? And you really don't know until after you do it with them, which kind of sucks because you don't know how people can be, how committed they're going to be. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I was going to say, whenever one important thing, if you're doing a partnership, the most important thing to remember is have a good operating agreement. Like, having a good operating agreement that gives you flexibility to make changes if necessary is a big deal. Like that was the first time it came up, that was a hard lesson learned.
Right. 100%. I could talk about that all day with you guys, but let's move on to the next question. Katie is asking, doing cold calls can be tough. Do you do it yourself or do you delegate it out?
I mean, doing cold calls is tough. It's honestly, Katie, you are the rule rather than the exception. Like everybody hates doing cold calls, and it's really uncomfortable at first. Now, one thing that we like to consider is that a lot of the calls we make aren't cold. Like they're just not. We've made email contact. We've potentially gotten some dialogue going. Also, we may have their objection, and so I like to look at it a bit different. I don't feel like I'm cold calling. I feel like I get to call and talk to somebody and potentially educate them about a process that they may not have known. Like everything we do is not engineered to get sales. It's engineered to educate, which leads to sales. So with our structure, a lot of that stuff's easier. But and yes, yes is the answer. Do you do them yourself and do you delegate them? And yes, like we do some of them still. I definitely have a call scheduled for Friday, a pretty big one that's important to us, and those are the types of calls like I love to get on, and we've started delegating.
That's good that you want to be on them, because that means that you're the best salesman in your company. Otherwise, like if you put it to somebody else, it means like, oh, he's better than me. I'll pass off this call. So I think it's always good to have that confidence that oh, I'm going to take this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's I always like being in the game and at the big moment, I guess, right? Like it's so for our business, I know it matters, and I want to go in there, and I feel like I can also help and add value, and that lends itself to it as well. But you can delegate it. Typically what's going to happen is you're going to have to grow your business and get there. But I can promise you, it's much easier than you think, and probably a lot less nerve-wracking.
Yeah, my favorite part about what Dan said there, and I just want to hit it on it again because it's so smart, is that we don't do cold calls, we do warm calls. We start that conversation via email, and then that leads into a phone call.
Yeah, that's a huge distinction there, because picking up the phone and calling somebody who knows nothing about your business versus already having that contact is huge, and that's what I like. I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. I went through the whole course on my car ride out to Vegas, and I love it. And I love that you guys have a system for literally everything. And if you guys are interested in checking out the course, they've been promoting it all week. There's a special bonus. I am throwing in all of my courses as well. So literally every course I've ever made, you guys are gonna get for free. You can check that out in the link below to see all the bonuses I'm throwing in. But I love how there's a system for every single part. And the system that I'm starting out with is getting the leads into the spreadsheet, and then the next system is reaching out to them and kind of warming them up in a sense and feeling them out, almost filtering through the leads to see if they're even a good fit. And then by the time, a lot of times you guys can close them via email, right? You don't even need to pick up the phone, but you warm them up to the point where if you do have to pick up the phone, they already know who you are, they already kind of know what you're offering, and you're just going to obliterate whatever objections they have by providing value. So I love how you guys have systematized so much. It like takes out so much of the grind, for lack of a better term, of just like picking up the phone, calling. Like, no, there's a system for each part, and you have these leads that are ready to do business with you.
That's systems and processes are a big deal to us. Like I think it's very, very hard to grow and scale a business without having systems and processes. And our goal was to transition away from being an operator and more into being that owner role. So it was imperative that we started using systems and processes across our company to, so we could start working ourselves out of jobs, if that made sense.
Exactly. We got Teresa asking, so how do we find product step one? I don't know if we've really covered too much of that in this call.
The 4 criteria, I think, would be a good way to do it. Quick.
Yeah, I can actually quickly share. I think I have a slide that I can actually pull up, and I can share screen for a second. You want to?
Yeah, there's there. Let me know when you do.
Let's see. Share.
Here at the bottom.
Share screen. Share screen. Select window or screen. Probably can see that.
Yep, I got it.
Right there. There are the 4 criteria for a product. There are our 4 criteria for a product that makes it a good lead, a good opportunity. Selling price over $20. Amazon is not a seller. The brand owner is not the only seller, and sales equity of at least 20 units per month. And so we don't have time right here to explain what the first 3 are pretty self-explanatory, but that 4th one, what is sales equity? That means sales equity is how many times you could sell the product in a month. So we developed a formula, the wholesale formula. Really, it's just a simple math equation where we can look at any product on Amazon and determine with relative accuracy if we were selling it about how many units per month that we could sell. And where you can learn how to do that 4th part of that check is in that link that Avery has right here below the video. There's a link to a Facebook group where we have video instructions and trainings that show you how to do it soon. It'll be there soon. Yeah. But you can check that out, and that'll be available you can watch that replay. Those replays that explain all this, they'll be available today and tomorrow only. Today and tomorrow only for you to learn about it. Yeah, that was just wanted to show that real quick. So nice. Those are our 4 criteria.
That takes out so much stress for me, knowing that there's like these things that make a good product, and it's coming from you guys. That just like, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna make sure these 4 criteria are met, and I'm good to go. I do the same thing with textbooks on online arbitrage, buying and selling textbooks, and I've made these. They're pretty conservative metrics. Like, there has to be a certain profit, it has to sell a certain amount each month, the price has to have fluctuation. Like, we have it's a similar dynamic. So seeing that you guys have that, it really makes me be more confident in the products that I've actually sourced. Or actually, my VA is sourcing all these products for me. I'm having a VA do the first step of the process because you guys have laid it out so well in the course that I don't need to go through it. I've been through it myself, but I know that me trying to explain it to somebody else, I'm just like, no, just go through the course.
Yeah. And for those people that don't know, if there's anyone watching, a VA, a virtual assistant. So we use them in our business, and we've had many students have a lot of success using VAs or virtual assistants. But what a virtual assistant is, usually, it's a remote worker or a remote employee from the Philippines. And like most people from the Philippines, they'll be able to work for $3 or $4 an hour, which is a living wage in the Philippines, into your business remotely. And you can have them do tasks like, use that 4-point checklist we just gave to try to search Amazon to find product opportunities and send those to you in a list. Or even deeper, many of our students, and us included, will do things like have those virtual assistants not only use our methods to find product opportunities, but then to research the brands and send them templated emails that we wrote to go out to them to start off the conversations. And if the brand replies, we'll take over and then handle the correspondence from there. But it's like it puts you so far ahead in the process and saves you so much time and energy, right? And then let's say like if any of you that already sell on Amazon or have had an experience with selling books or doing arbitrage or things like that, that there's some day-to-day things that you have to do and check and mess around in your Amazon account and your Seller Central account. We have virtual assistants do that stuff too, although that day-to-day maintenance of going in there. We teach them with different, what are called SOPs, standard operating procedures, checklists that they have to follow and do that every day, so that we don't have to. And so our business, what's that do is it enables us to spend our time on what we said at the beginning of this. We spend our time on just how do we make more money, not on doing work, monotonous day-to-day work, but how we're just spending our time on how to make more money.
Right. Yeah, I will say having a virtual assistant has revolutionized my business and my life. Like I don't know how far you guys have taken it with the VA thing, but I literally use a VA for everything, from like booking tickets to meetings to literally anything you can think about, booking hotels. I have my VA do. So I have a general VA, and then I have a VA now. I just hired a VA just for the wholesale formula, doing everything in there. I have a VA for my restricted inventory company. I have a VA for literally every part of my life. If it takes less time for me to teach somebody how to do something, like if I can delegate something and I know they're going to do it again and again and again, I delegate it. So
that's really cool that you do it with like, with your, like as a personal assistant kind of thing too.
Yes,
like out in life. That's really neat.
And I recommend everybody, like as tempting as it is to mix a personal assistant with the business, most of the time, like if it's a serious business, they're going to need to focus a lot of their effort on that. That's why I hired a whole new VA for the Wholesale Formula. So, and real quick, a tip for anybody that is going to go the VA route, it's much easier than you think. I use onlinejobs.ph. I don't know what you guys use. You find somebody who's good, you're pretty set. They're hardworking people, and as long as you communicate with them and give them clear instruction, they can deliver on their product, or whatever your product is. In this case, finding a list of profitable leads on Google Sheets.
We've met some amazing people, absolutely amazing people, virtual assistants that have worked for us.
Yeah, they're great people. Do you hire from the Philippines?
We do, yes.
Yeah, great, hardworking people. Katie's asking again, she's saying, so same concept when you are getting ungated products on Amazon to buy directly from the manufacturers. Need to have a license to buy from some of them.
We had talked about this earlier. You need a reseller certificate, which is that's the standard documentation that a brand's going to ask for. Once you have that in place, like once you have that, you're eligible to buy from any vendor. Now, one of the misconceptions about Amazon is that I guess it's not a misconception for a lot of people. It really is just hard to get ungated. But if you're doing wholesale or reverse sourcing wholesale like we teach, it's actually just it's part of our process. So typically, whenever Amazon has a gated category, say grocery, gourmet food, or health and personal care, one of those categories, what they're usually going to ask for is they're going to ask for 3 wholesale invoices. Now, our model only gets wholesale invoices, literally all you can get. I mean, that's how we order our products. So every single, the way to actually get ungated on Amazon is by doing reverse sourcing wholesale. Like, you're effectively unlocked as long as you just do what we say and follow our system. I mean, you get all the resources you need to be able to get ungated in those categories.
Yeah, if you sell like us, you can sell in any category on Amazon.
Yeah, it protects you like crazy. Some of my mentors, they do a million in sales each month selling books, and it's not uncommon for them to have like 38 IP complaints at one time. And since they're reselling books, they're not buying books brand new from the manufacturer, they're kind of screwed. If their accounts get shut down, they can't prove, eventually they'll get it back up, but it might take a month or two. Half Price Books, the biggest company out there, one of the biggest companies out there selling books on Amazon. There's a couple that are bigger. They got shut down. They're probably the biggest brick and mortar bookstore. If not, they're definitely up there. Anyway, they got shut down. They were shut down for 2 whole months because they couldn't provide invoices. And so no matter how big, and that's why I have multiple accounts as a bookseller. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Amazon's going to shut you down if you don't have those invoices. So in wholesale, you're protected because that's all you have. You're literally just ordering from the manufacturer. So,
right. That's it's interesting that you brought up the IP complaints, because that's another thing in wholesale that we don't have to deal with. Like, every single product we carry, we're an authorized seller for, and we're working directly with the brand. So I mean, as far as IP complaints, that's another benefit of our model where, I know a lot of people have to fight through those and have had to deal with them, and they're pretty rough sometimes. But it's I always look at those things like distractions, right? Like, you get those, and it's just like, you can always fight through them, you can always solve them, but it's just a distraction that you have to commit energy and effort to. With our model, it's by working with the vendor and being an authorized seller, we just never run into those issues. Like invoices as well. We get a complaint from somebody on Amazon. You sell enough products, like, people complain. They're going to say, this product was counterfeit. It's like, for a lot of people, that's just like a disaster scenario where they have to like go and hope their receipts are good or whatever. For us, we can get we have, a manufacturer direct invoice. We have letters of authorization saying, yeah, these guys are approved, authorized sellers. Their inventory is legitimate, that kind of stuff. We can show all of our order dates. It makes that part of our business just significantly easier and less stressful.
We got a great question, and I've never really thought of this before, but it says About Stuff's asking, how do you know if wholesalers are an Amazon approved wholesaler?
So I saw this question from About Stuff, and then they have a follow-up that's right after where they ask, is Entertainment Earth a distributor? And Entertainment Earth, are they two different companies? But so it's basically About Stuff. What you're asking us are things that we don't do. We don't buy from wholesalers or work with wholesalers or distributors. So all that, those topics are irrelevant for us. So like approved or not approved, there's no real like approved Amazon. It's not like a thing. It's like a misunderstanding.
Let me provide some context because a lot of resellers out there, a lot of booksellers, a lot of people like want to hide these distributors and wholesalers, but I'll go ahead and say them. There's like Alliance Entertainment. There's Ingram Entertainment, I believe, Ingram Book Company in Smyrna, Tennessee. Entertainment Earth. There's all these companies you can order from to get ungated in Lego, to get ungated in CDs and DVDs, all these different categories. But the only reason why Amazon's letting you get ungated is because it's a trusted distributor. But anyway, go ahead, because I don't actually know the answer to this question myself.
But yeah, the reality is it's irrelevant for the business model we do, because we don't use wholesalers or distributors at all. So it's unneeded, it's unnecessary, and we are approved to sell anything on Amazon because we're buying it from the authentic source of the product.
So it's like if the listing matches, if the brand on the listing matches the brand on the invoice, that would be Amazon approved. Right?
Absolutely, every time. Yep.
Yeah, distributors, they're the middlemen. They jack the prices up. So why wouldn't you just go straight to the source?
Right.
That's what Dan and Dylan teach. The Radical Axe is saying, do you think we should get a business for the state we reside in? I'm Californian. That's why I ask. He's got those California taxes. What do you guys recommend? What do you recommend, Dan, for California taxes? Should he establish in Delaware?
I mean, it's definitely a possibility. I would talk to a CPA and talk to them about that, because they may be able to advise you the correct way to do it. But I mean, California is expensive. It's always funny. Like you always got to put the California disclaimer in there. It's like, how much does it cost to create a business? And you're like, oh, it's probably like $100 to $250 depending on where you live, unless you live in California, because it gets crazy there. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. I would talk to a CPA. But here's the point. If you ask me, if that's the solution that works for you, my advice is absolutely do it. Do it, move forward, and don't think about. Again, we don't play our business on defense. Like, I'm not sitting here just trying to think of every way to save a nickel. I just try to think of ways to get more dollars.
Just so many people get stuck. Like, I'm so glad you guys articulated that to me, because I just never thought of it that way. I'm like, just naturally, people would always come to me with like these little issues that I never paid attention to, and it's all because like my core belief is focus on growing. Don't focus on minimizing expenses. People are so detail oriented in the book world. Sometimes they focus too much on like, my shipment didn't get checked in fully, and I'm like, dude, I'm just focused on getting more books. I'm just focused on getting more product, because that's what's going to help you at the end of the day. Any Amazon business, the most important thing is getting profitable product consistently. Everything else, prep centers, all the bells and whistles, those don't matter too much. What really matters is getting profitable product.
But the rest of it's there just to facilitate getting more profitable product.
Yeah.
I just want the easiest track to make money.
Right. Exactly.
And in the private chat, I've put a couple links that I don't know if it's possible for you to share those with the audience that's watching or anything. It just as it comes up, I was wanting to share some websites that might be interesting for people. One here to share would be capforge.com, CAPFORGE. It's basically like an online CPA, and they do good work, and so they can help you. And they can get you set up, get you set up in Nevada or Delaware or wherever you needed.
Nice. And then what's that other website you got there?
And then the other one is we have a cool tool on our website where how to start your business in all 50 states, where we have all the links to how how to get your resale certificate in whatever state that you're in if you want to go ahead and get that, so you don't have to pay taxes on the inventory you buy.
That's awesome. I need to, I need to do something like that, because I have a course on how to get ungated in various products. And that's a common question I get. So that's a great resource there. All right, let's go back up. If you guys have questions, ask them. How much time we got left with you guys?
Until everyone's done, until we've got all the questions answered.
Keep asking questions, guys. Yeah, these guys can go hard asking questions. My audience, when you ask them to ask questions, sometimes they don't stop. So that's why I ask you to put a stop limit there, but guess we're going. Waterboy's asking, how often do you land an account and then end up selling other products from their catalog? Great question. You guys are reading my mind. These are all the questions I'm thinking too.
Almost every time.
Right. That's the greatest. That's like one of the biggest wins in getting a wholesale account, right? Is you get the product that you were looking for, because every brand that we carry started with we had that ideal product in mind, right? Like, we found the product that we wanted to carry, we reached out to them, we developed that got approved, and then the vast majority of companies have other products that once you're approved, you're able to sell all of them. So it's that's the big win when you win an account.
Yeah, that just sounds amazing. Sometimes when I do book deals, I would get an ISBN list. And this is really why I'm interested in wholesale, because one of my mentors, he's able to run the list for me and give me a list of all the profitable books from the list. And I'm just like, this is so easy. Like, I didn't have to go out and scan the books. I've literally a few times I've had that list ran, and I tell the source, I'm like, hey, look, I just want these books. I'll pay you X amount. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why am I going out scanning physical books if I could just be doing this? And it's the same thing with wholesale. Like, once you get that wholesale list, boom, scan it or put it through the software, whatever software you guys use. It puts out how much profit, how much demand. It tells you exactly which products are good to sell. And then you just order them, and also I don't want to talk too much about what's in the course, because, that's not fair to everybody who's in the course who paid for it. But you guys have a system for negotiating discounts, which you guys have a system for everything. So it's like, if they don't give you a discount the first time, you work harder to get the discount the second time. And it's amazing how every part of this business, like, you guys have so many arrows in your back, meaning, like, you guys have been through it. You guys have been through the pain. And I can tell like these little things. I'm like, oh, they're doing this for a reason. They're doing this because, if they get discounts, it opens up the possibilities for way more product, way more profit from one manufacturer. So I love that. We got Christian Valencia asking, are toys and books good products to sell?
Toys, 100%.
I asked you guys if books were good product privately when I was down there, and you guys said you didn't really do too many books.
Yeah, toys, absolutely. We've sold several different toy products very successfully. Board games are good. We've got a really good board game product, and there are many more really good ones. But books, we just don't have experience with, and I think that it's a bit books are a bit tougher from a wholesale or perspective, because there are very few major book publishers, and most of them have deals with Amazon directly. They sell their product direct to Amazon, which makes it difficult.
I mean, Amazon is actually a book publisher. I mean, with Amazon Kindle and stuff like that. So most of your book publishers have a lot of special deals that make it almost impossible to compete with Amazon. Like, it just actually almost impossible in books. So that's the one. It's funny because people are just like, is there one area I should avoid? And for us, it's new books. Like, I don't know how you can compete in there. We've never done it.
Yeah, and that's even like, and I'm someone who has connections. Like, I know personally very well the CEO and owner of Hay House Publishing, you know what I mean? And even like one of the major publishers in the United States. And even with those kind of connections, I can't strike deals with them because they're just, they've got contracts with Amazon.
Right. Yeah. You can't, it's too much to compete with Amazon too. Like, because they make the rules at the end of the day. They can change the way the buy box operates. They can hide you, blacklist you. Like, they can do a lot. So you don't want to be competing with them. How often, because I have heard wholesalers mention this, how often does Amazon sneak up on the listing? Does that ever happen?
This is one of those situations where early in your career you may see it more often, and we kind of learned about that dynamic. It's important to realize that Amazon does not make more money as a retailer. They absolutely do not. Like if I sell a product, they get 15% of that sale. If they sell a product, usually their margins are 1 to 3%. So it is much more beneficial for them to let me sell a product. They just have to hope that I can do it effectively. So what Amazon's looking for is you have to remember that they are the most customer-centric company on earth. So they need their customers to receive good deals, and they need them to receive the product quickly. So it's like early in our wholesale career, we ran into this issue. I think it was like twice in over the period of 7 months where we carried a product. Amazon later comes in and starts carrying that product and kind of just shuts us down. Ultimately what we would do is we liquidated, and we probably lost like 5 or 10%, as we were going down, and just don't restock that product. But rather than like shake our fist and be like, oh, we have such bad luck, we tried to figure out what it was. And we realized that there was a pattern, right? If you're constantly going in and out of stock on a product, that's not a great customer experience. Like Amazon doesn't like that. If your prices are constantly, going up and down or fluctuating, or they're higher than the market average, like that's not what Amazon wants. And I mean, it makes it a point for them to want to come in and start carrying those products.
Yeah.
Once we started doing that, and it's like, just being more consistent with our restocks, not going out of stock. Once we started keeping our prices, and it's easy with wholesale. Like we get the best possible price you can get for a product. So keeping our prices competitive is pretty easy. And then once we started doing that, I've literally not had Amazon jump on a listing in 4 years. It's just doesn't happen anymore.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys have a lot of good systems to make sure that you guys have the listing and that you guys get those discounts necessary. Quick question, personal question again. PPC. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that's intimidating to me. Do I have to learn PPC? Do I have to what is PPC for people that don't know about it, and how can it provide value to the brand?
Yeah, and I saw Waterboy had a question too that related to PPC. So we'll answer your question first, and then we'll answer Waterboy's as it relates to it specifically.
We might think alike.
Yeah. So PPC stands for pay-per-click advertising, and that means it's on Amazon. Of course, you can run advertising for products to make them display at the top of search results, basically. A lot of other places, but the main way to run it is so that it appears at the top of search results for targeted keywords. Like if you're selling an organic oatmeal product and you want to, when someone types in organic oatmeal, you want to show up, as the #1 result. You can pay Amazon to do that. That's effectively what pay-per-click advertising is, for those of you that don't know. And why it's valuable for us to be able to offer it or to talk to brands about it is because 99% of products on Amazon aren't running or using any form of pay-per-click advertising. There's 350 million products listed on Amazon. In case you didn't know, most of them don't have ads being ran on them, because for ads to be ran, the brand either has to pay Amazon basically like $50,000 a year in a contract for Amazon to do it for them. Many of them don't do that, or they have to have their Amazon sellers do it. And so it's something huge that you can offer to be able to do for a brand, because so few of their sellers do it. It's a way for you to be able to get in. But if you do it right, you can even convince the brand to pay for it, or to give you more discounts on the product that you buy from them, so that you will run it. So that way, it's kind of, you're subsidizing it. You can make it free or nearly free a lot of the time. So how do you run pay-per-click advertising, right? So if you're a new seller or you're just starting wholesale, it's simple. You don't need software. It's not a hard, complicated process. Amazon makes it incredibly easy. It's basically like 2 button clicks and you type in a number. It's that easy to run Amazon pay-per-click advertising. At the top of Amazon, there's an advertising button, and then there's an automatic campaigns button, and you just create an automatic campaign. You set the budget of how much you're willing to spend, and pretty much Amazon takes care of the rest of it. Amazon's algorithm go ahead and runs those ads and finds customers for the product, and boom, you're running ads. And that's how we recommend you get started. And then as you gain more experience and you learn more, and you have more success with it, you can start looking into software that make it better or stronger. But I highly advise against even thinking about that until you're at least in the $50,000 a month sales range. Probably like that's can be around where it starts making sense. I hate to just be so general, but like you want to be doing some real volume before you want to bother with software, because it's not necessary. It's an expense that you just don't need. And so yeah, and then so like Waterboard asked about any specific software. We've used and tried and messed with a lot. There's high level ones, low level ones. It just depends on where you're finding the one that meets you where you're at in your business. So I don't know if I have a recommendation without knowing like about how much you're doing in sales. Really, it depends on that for a good recommendation. There's so many that do so many different things.
Gotcha.
Like, there's a couple of good cheap ones. Actually, PrestoZone. That is one that Helium 10 owns and is getting incorporated into Helium 10. That's a good one. PPC Entourage is a good one. Techometrics is a good one. There's a bunch of different options, but Dylan's suggestion of get some automatic campaigns going. It's really, really easy. And then you get a lot of data. Like you get to see how the algorithm pulls words, and creating a manual campaign from there is also really easy.
And in the Wholesale Formula, one of the bonuses of the Wholesale Formula is that it includes a full training, step-by-step training on how to run pay-per-click advertising.
Again, guys, that link is below. And somebody's asking, I'm going to jump down to this question. Can we get a deal on the Roamer Ungated course? That is included. So you guys are literally getting access to all my programs. And I am throwing in there, if you guys are already a member of the Book Business Blueprint, I am going to give you my next program for free. So I'm actually currently working on a few different programs. It might be a bulk book program. It might be a different program on how to source books from people's homes. But whatever program I come out with next, if you're already a member of the Book Business Blueprint, you will get that as well. So don't worry, because I am giving away the Book Business Blueprint and all my other courses. So I know some people who are already big fans of me, they're already enrolled in all my courses. I am going to compensate you by giving you the next course for free if you enroll in the Wholesale Formula. So you guys can check out all the bonuses, the link below. And yeah, thanks Dan and Dylan for throwing all that together.
I saw Jasmine has a good question. She had
Awesome.
Jasmine Grace asked, for listing the product on Amazon, do you piggyback off the existing Amazon listing? And the answer is yes, you have to. It's actually a violation of Amazon's terms of service to make new listings for products that already exist. You have to sell on that existing listing. That is the rules, actually.
Yeah, you got to help take away listings sometimes too, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, we're one of the guys that'll come and get listings combined and pushed together. But I like the terminology piggyback. Piggyback is typically more like seen as a negative connotation. It's important to remember that we are authorized sellers for all of the products we carry. They want us on that listing. Like the brands actually want us on the listing, and over time, they want us on the listing so much that they start pushing other people off.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like a misunderstanding of how Amazon works. Like on eBay, when you list a product for sale, you have to make your own listing. That's not how Amazon works. The way that Amazon works and is intended to work is like for any product, there's only supposed to be one listing that everybody shares. And people break the rules and try to make splinter offs or make their own separate ones, and that violates Amazon's terms of service. You get your account suspended for doing stuff like that. You can get products banned and things like that. So the way Amazon is intended to work is there's only supposed to be one product listing for a product, and everyone is supposed to use that one.
Right. I also will say this, the Wholesale Formula, I forgot to mention, it does close in how many hours is it closing?
It's let's see, I can do that math at 36.
Tomorrow,
it's literally well 39 because we close at Pacific time for our Pacific folks. So yeah, in like 39 hours, enrollment closes for the year.
So this isn't just a course that's open year round. So take advantage of the time now, guys. And also, like during this launch, you guys are gonna get all those bonuses we mentioned as well. see what other questions we have. The Radical Axe is saying, if you had to start from zero, what would you do? Oh, and one more question before you guys answer this. During the training you guys were doing, the free training, you guys said you sold 30 million. How much did you guys say you spent on product for that 30 million? Did you say that? I swear you guys said you spent like 200,000 or something. There's a number 200,000 on product total.
No, it's a good question. It's higher than that.
Okay.
It's much higher than that.
I was in the car and it was breaking up and it was going in and out. And I was like, wait, 200,000 is all you guys spent? I thought it would be way higher than that.
Yeah. So people are going to like maybe misinterpret this. I would say I don't have the data on it. That's a good thing for us to be able to look at. But in $30 million in sales, we probably spent, I would say $12 million is a good guess.
I guess it was between 12 and 14 based on that.
Yeah. Now people will think, oh my gosh, 12 and $14 million. Like that's a ton of money. I don't have that. It's like, well, you got to understand how it works. I spend the same money. I spend the same money over and over. I didn't spend $12 million. I spent the same $50,000, a couple hundred times.
Right. So yeah, if you had to start from zero, what would you do?
I'm going to take this question as if I had to start with very low capital and stuff like that. And my answer is I would do what Romer teaches. Like honestly, I would focus on a low barrier to entry product. I would hustle my head off, which is exactly what we did. Like that's exactly what we did. We didn't just start in wholesale. It was we started with retail arbitrage. We started selling books and stuff like that. And it was we used that to generate capital. And once we had enough capital, the focus was now I want to move into a business model that where product comes to me instead of me going and finding it. So, starting from zero, my advice is really dive deep and just absolutely hustle your head off in low barrier to entry models like books or retail arbitrage.
Yeah. 100%.
What would you say the minimum someone should have set aside for wholesale?
Sure. If you're getting into wholesale, I think you need a budget of about $2,000, and that's I think it's a good amount because the vast majority of minimum orders we see are between $250 and $500, and that gives you that gives you enough flexibility to be able to place a bigger order and access discounts, or place multiple orders with different brands and manufacturers to get your feet wet that way. So I think it's that's a good area about that $2,000 mark to be able to kind of hit the ground running and start using the business model.
Gotcha. Katie Reeds is saying Romer has a VA for his VAs. That's right. My VA has his own VA now. The name of that website, Teresa, was onlinejobs.ph. That's the website that I use. Tell them that Romer sent you. You might give me a little kickback. Let's see, who else do we have here? Do we need insurance to sell on Amazon?
Yes. If you're currently selling on Amazon and you don't have insurance, you are violating their terms of service. But I would go so far as to say you should, if you're selling online, period. If you're selling anything online, I would actually have insurance. I mean, it's not expensive. You can get what they call it is commercial general liability, or CGL insurance. And it's you can get a pretty good policy for like $400 a year or something like that, and be covered against a disaster that can wreck your business and potentially wreck your personal life. So I would absolutely worth carrying, and Amazon requires it.
Interesting. Waterboy is saying, how do you overcome the first objection email when you initially reach out to a brand? Do you try to schedule a phone call, or do you email them the listing issues?
Depends on strategy. It can be a lot of different things. Dan, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, we obviously love starting off with that email. You feel like you get the best information back, but from there, it really depends. It depends on what our strategy was going in. It also depends on what kind of things do I want to show them. I can say this anytime, and this is I don't know if this is the right word, but I think it is. I think it's ubiquitously true for all sales. And then with the higher the touch point, the more likely you are to convert, which means like in person. If it could physically in person is your most likely way to convert a phone call, or most likely to way to convert a customer. Then your next one would be like maybe a Zoom meeting or virtual meeting, and then phone call, and then email. So if it's an important account, we love to push towards phone call or virtual meeting or something like that, just because we know we're more likely to convert.
Gotcha. Do you notice a higher conversion with Zoom versus like a phone call?
Yeah, it's the same. Exactly. Yes is the short answer. But the reason why is you're taking the physical cues, you're taking all of those things and adding it in. So it's much harder to tell somebody no in person. Just think about. I mean, I didn't have to worry about this very much, but like somebody asks you out. It's in person. It'd be much harder to turn somebody down than it would be
Gotcha.
to do it for the phone or something like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense. Jesus says, hello, sir. What's going on, Jesus? Jasmine says, thank you, guys. Jesus got a question. He says, is share market a good option to maximize capital?
I've not heard of share market.
Yeah, I don't know what share market is.
Never heard of this one.
All right, Jesus, if you could clarify that question for us. What would you say for anybody, because I get this question all the time for selling books, like I just don't have enough time to dedicate to this business model. I believe in it. It looks good. It looks like a great opportunity. I want to enroll in the course, but I just know that I don't have the time set aside to make this work. I have a full-time job. I got kids. What would you say to somebody like that who really does want to start an online business, but they're just kind of on the fence on whether or not they could actually make it work with their life?
I would ask, is that an excuse or is it true? And like, if it's an excuse, then you can do it. If it's true, then you can't. So let's put it this way, right? Like I'll give it to it in a story. One of our students, Josh Blake, he had a 50-hour-a-week job, so he had a lot of commitments. He has a family, kids, that sort of thing. And what he did was he woke up an hour early every morning to work on his Amazon business, and he worked on it an hour or two at night after he put his kids to sleep. And that takes dedication because it's hard. You're tired. You've been working all day. And that's how he fit in the time. So it's like, was it possible? Yes. Was it easy? No. But he did it. And now, because I talked to him the other day, he's done something like $12 million in sales since he started working with us. Absolutely insane. Because he was able to build up a significant business, making a ton of money. Then he started using that money, that just like us. He's like the same story as us. He's a Southern guy. He's from West Virginia. Started buying up houses and real estate with all the money that he was making from Amazon. And it's like, that's the kind of dedication it requires. It's like, you probably do have time and ways that you can fit it in. Are you willing to do it is the question. If you're not willing to do it, then don't enroll. You'll waste your time and you'll waste ours. If you are willing to do it and you think that you will put in that effort, then it can make sense for you. So is the time thing an excuse or is it real? And so that's a question that you have to answer for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. We got two more questions in here. What was the insurance called again? It says about stuff.
Yeah, commercial general liability, or CGL insurance. Okay. And there's actually a lady on Facebook that handles all of our insurance for our community. I mean, we don't get affiliates or anything, but her name is Ashlyn Haddon, ASHLIN HADDEN is her last name.
Great. And then Waterboy's asking, how do you negotiate product discounts?
Same way we land the account. We provide value.
Right. There's a variety of different ways. Most people want to believe that negotiating discounts is kind of like the movie scenario where it's like a bunch of aggressive dickering back and forth, and that's really not what it is. We look for strategic ways to get discounts specifically. We use a lot of projections and mock orders to show them what example volumes are. But the point is, there's a process to walk through with getting discounts that kind of maximizes your ability to do it. But you should be asking, regardless of what system you use, regardless of what your strategy is, you should be asking for discounts every single time you buy a product. every single time. If you're not, you are severely hampering yourself. And that's one of the things that we focus on a lot in the wholesale formula, because we understand that it's critical in business. Like it's very important to be able to have the best price. It's very important to be able to increase your margin, because it gives me more ability to add value to the customers I work with. Like the more margin I have, the more of that I can spend. I can spend this much of it and pump it back into into some sort of promotion or something like that. And that's far better than any other sellers are willing to do.
Yeah, definitely. If I was a wholesaler or a manufacturer, I would want to do business with somebody like that. Somebody who's going to provide value, get me more sales, get me more traffic, put me in front of more customers. Teresa's saying, is that insurance for new products to sell? Meaning, do we need it to sell used books? I don't have insurance. I'm not going to lie. I don't have insurance. So
well, they've never actually, right. I mean, it's one of those terms of service things that nobody's ever checked. Now, I can tell you this. Amazon I'd seen an email, or I'd seen a couple messages where people were being asked to provide, provide their CGL insurance. So it may become more popular relatively soon, but it's called commercial general liability again. And it's not just for new products. I mean, it's literally insurance against, general liability. Like, if you have general liability when you're selling a book, you have general liability when you're selling a used shoe, just like you do selling a brand new product. So if you're selling online, this is just one of those things where you should investigate it. It really isn't expensive. I know that kind of stuff's scary, but I promise it's not.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to look into that. Can you talk a little bit about the private community and what people are going to get out of that experience for everybody that enrolls in the program? Also, for everybody that enrolls in the program, I am starting my own private Facebook group for all my students to be in together, so we can grow together. Because I know how I scaled my book business was I was asking questions like crazy in all these different forums. Every forum I could find online, I would just ask a ton of questions. So what can people expect out of that private community? What type of people are hanging out in there? Are there full-time wholesalers? Are they part-time? What's the community like?
Well, we've been doing the wholesale formula and teaching and training people over the last 5 years. And our students that are part of that wholesale formula community have combined to sell over $1 billion on Amazon, over $1 billion. So our community, our program, the people that you're surrounded by are people that have sold over $1 billion on Amazon. So it's easily the highest level Amazon group in the world, where you have access to every possible resource or every bit of information or every strategy or tactic really known to man to progress your business in no matter what you're doing, really, but certainly with reverse sourcing wholesale.
One of the things that makes our community unique is, like, we're by far not the biggest seller in our own community. It's not even close. Like, we have sellers that have done over $100 million, the wholesale formula students that have done over $100 million in sales. Like, it is our community is legitimately full of just, it's super experienced, awesome people who are constantly pushing boundaries and learning more about how to be better businesses. So it's really good. Yeah. We also, beyond just like the sales and sellers, we have the various professionals we use in our community. Like we have multiple attorneys in our group that help with contracts, can advise on all kinds of stuff. And it's over time, our community has really become just an unbelievable resource vault.
Yeah, there are people in our community, those attorneys are helpful too, because there are people in our community that still do arbitrage, and they'll get an IP complaint. It's like, oh no, what do I do? And one of the attorneys or one of the specialists in that can help them and walk them through it. I mean, it's just like, it's great to watch everybody help each other and solve problems. So it's just like anything you can imagine, it's been helped solve and dealt with there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So is that a place people can just go and ask any question and somebody's going to answer it? Because everybody who joins the program is also going to access to my private book selling community, and in that community, Anytime someone asks a question, most of the time somebody beats me to the answer. I answer it if nobody else answers it, but there's almost always a student who just got over the hurdle, whatever question they're asking, whether it's listing books, pricing books, stranded inventory. Some other student helps them get an answer for that. So is this like the type of community where somebody can ask like maybe like a very, very simple question, like I just can't get this set up, and expect an answer in an hour?
Mostly the community has been around for so long that you don't even have to actually ask a question. The question has already been asked. You just have to use the search feature and you'll find it. So it's easier than that. It's already been asked, answered, and discussed by 6- and 7-figure sellers already, multiple times over. It's difficult. It is actually difficult to find a question that's not already been asked and answered in our group. Yeah, it's hard.
That's interesting. I bet people ignore the search feature though. I bet people ask anyway, right?
They do, but we actually have someone in the group whose responsibility is to just take new questions and direct them to the existing discussion that already happened. So it's just like, here you go. Here's where a bunch of $1 million sellers already answered this, and it's just like, oh, great. So it's like, that's what's been cool about it. We've been around a long time. There's been so many people in there that we've got everything already solved for the most part. But when a new question that's never happened before does come up, yes, you can expect it to get piled on.
I'll try to come up with some new questions for you guys.
I love it.
About Stuff is saying, thank you for all the information, guys. We appreciate you showing up about stuff. Waterboy's saying, does a product ever stop selling as much and you end up, and you end up having to drop it?
Sure. If it has, it was our fault, usually.
Right. Like that's the key is usually we've kind of not done our job or something like that. But in the instance that a product stops, or slows down or whatever, that's another great thing about our model is we're not so deep that it matters. Like our target is 30 to 45 days worth of inventory. So once I sell through my 30 days of inventory, I just never restock the thing if it's not good.
Nice. Yeah, that's a big problem that retail arbitrage people run into. Us booksellers, we sell about 80% of our inventory, and then 20% goes stale. So I know that'd be a lot of inventory to go stale for you guys doing wholesale, right? 20%.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because somebody had asked, what do you do if your products just won't sell? And it's like, I've never actually had that problem. I mean, I've just never had it. Like sometimes a problem for us isn't that our product doesn't sell. It is literally the only problem we typically run into is if the price changes. Like, the products we carry are all just incredibly liquid. They all move. Like I don't ever have to worry about getting stuck on inventory.
Right. Yeah, that's huge. Especially like any inventory-based business, you want to be able to get your money back in a timely manner so you can reinvest it. You guys invested $12 million. You guys didn't have $12 million starting out, but you were able to reinvest it, and just grow it. Speaking of that real quick, how much can people expect if they really go hard in this? And, they're probably looking at that 12 million number and they're like, oh my gosh, I'd have to reinvest every penny of profit I'm making. After doing this for about a year, what can someone expect to pay themselves if they really hustle hard and, focus on good products, focus on good relationships? Like how much can they take back out of the business to keep for themselves?
I mean, our standard advice is to reinvest as much as you can. Like it's constantly reinvest into the business. I can say that we didn't take a salary I didn't take a salary for like the first 6 or 7 months that we had our business. But once we did that, we were able to start with a small salary and scale. Like the question's tough. I'm trying to think of how I would answer it, but the question's tough because it depends on number one,
a lot of factors.
Right. Like where did you start? Did you start with $2,000? Did you start with $10,000? Then similarly, how many times it gets reinvested? We have a concept called the snowball effect that kind of illustrates this point. Dylan, can you walk through that one just with a sample number and explain it maybe a little bit?
Sure. So like, let's say you start with $2,000, right? If you start with $2,000, then what we teach, and based on our teachings, we want you to find product, and we show you how to do this, right? We want you to find product where your initial order of that product, you would sell through it in about 30 days. You want to be, when you buy product, you want to be very liquid with a very fast cash flow, so that you buy 30 days worth of product and you sell it in 30 days. That means you spent $2,000, and then at the end of a month, that $2,000 is back in your pocket with the profit attached to it. Because if you're focusing on fast turnaround products like that, where you buy 30 days worth, you sell 30 days worth, you get your money back. So that, obviously, that's how we were able to spend $12 million over the years doing this, is because our money comes back every month that we spend. So if your profit margin is, let's say, 15%, a conservative estimate, a number to just 15%, if you spend $2,000, you at the end of that month, you'll have $2,300, right? And then you spend 23. Then if you reinvest your profits, because that's the key there. If that's all you have, you should reinvest you shouldn't pull a salary out of 2,300, because that's going to set you back. You should reinvest that full 2,300, and so you can then you start snowballing that investment, and then at a certain, and it grows a lot faster than you would think. And then so then you may want to consider, you could potentially be pulling out a salary 8, 9, 10, 11 months down the road, if you started with a figure like that. But just be prepared that that's even how we started, was snowballing and reinvesting the profits, not pulling out of the profit, because that's how you can get to the big levels. It's a sacrifice at the beginning that you make that pays off big time in the end. We're living proof of it.
Right. Yeah. There's so many tempting opportunities to invest right now. There's cryptocurrency. There's always real estate. And a good way to look at this is an investment. You're taking your money, you're putting in the product on Amazon, and you're letting it grow over time. So everyone that's interested in joining this program, check out the link below that has all the bonuses, all my courses. You'll get access to both private communities, and you'll also get access to a private community that I'm starting myself, working more hands-on with you guys, starting our wholesale businesses. So make sure to check that out below. Just want to make sure everyone knows about that who's just tuning in. And About Stuff has another question. Does it matter the name of my Amazon store? I just use my name. Should I change it before applying for my reseller certificate?
Well, your state's not going to care about what your Amazon store name is. They're not going to ask, so that won't matter.
Amazon doesn't care either.
And Amazon doesn't care either. And you can change your name, the Amazon store name, at any time to anything that you want.
Yeah. So I would, just not worry about it and change it if you want to later.
Right. Yeah. It's all about taking action fast. I feel like people who get caught up on choosing a store name, you need to you really need to kick yourself in the butt and just say, like, I just need to make a decision, become decisive. Don't spend 2 weeks choosing a store name, because you can change it in the future as well. So yeah, just take action. I like how you guys recommend, you guys said that for your business, you made it, it's not even really super relevant anymore, the business name you came up with, right?
No, our store name was centered around collectible toys, and that was because me and Dylan are giant dorks, and we started out just selling mostly collectible toys, like just cool things we would find at yard sales, and in short print toys we would find in stores and stuff like that. But it was probably like 3 or 4 months in. We were carrying products from health and personal care. Like, I remember our first big product was huge product was Benefiber. Like, I don't know if you know what Benefiber is, but it's like a fiber supplement. And we found a bunch of those being like closed out and stuff like that, and sold a ton of it. But it was definitely not a toy. And people were buying tons of Benefiber from our toy shop on Amazon.
Wow. That's awesome. What would you say for somebody who's not super technologically advanced? And I would actually classify myself in that category, because me and my business partner, Steve Rakin, we're actually dealing with this issue of wiring money. It's really hard for us to wire money. It's like it's like the biggest issue in our business right now. It's like wiring the money. He actually just texted me about it. And we're like 7-year-old women when it comes to this, like trying to figure it out. And so just like thinking about tactical arbitrage, like these different softwares you're mentioning, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's something else for me to learn. What would you say to somebody who just is like overwhelmed with the idea of even using technology, and like that's like the main thing that's preventing them from pulling the trigger, enrolling in the program, and really, getting started with a wholesale business?
I mean, I would say that I am an absolute technology goober. Like I mean, Dylan's pretty savvy. Like Dylan's a pretty savvy dude. But it has to be pretty simple for me. Like I didn't even own a computer until I was 19 years old. Like I didn't. So it's not like I've picked up those skills either. But that being said, there's enough competition in this space that it's forced a lot of these companies to be user friendly. Like Helium 10, one of the reasons we don't use 45 different softwares. If you looked at our business, say 5 years ago, we were using a software for this, a software for this, a software for this, and they were all different and unrelated, and it was miserable because you had to learn different interfaces and functionalities and stuff like that. We've really tried to cut that down, and it is our suggestion is Helium 10, and it's because it's effective, it gets the results we want, and it's super easy to use. It's so easy a Dan could use it. But yeah, I would just challenge you to move forward. Like you can't get stuck. You can't get stuck thinking you can't do stuff. Otherwise, you'll never be able to do it. But if you realize that it's creating a business, doing something new is just like eating an elephant. It's one bite at a time. You learn the piece you need. You use it. You go on, and until you have to take another bite.
Right. So Teresa's saying, watch that woman comment, please. She got mad about me saying 7-year-old women. If I said 7-year-old man, the men probably would die by the time they're 70. Like women have a longer life expectancy. That's why I chose woman over man. Waterboy's asking, you listed A/B split testing as one of your value propositions in your PDF. What is that referring to?
I'll put a link here that you can share that should like help people understand the concept of it, and is also and it explains it pretty well and kind of shows it pretty well. It's the software, but A/B split testing means trying different things on a listing and seeing which worked better. So like, let's say you try the main image is this image, and then you can switch it to a different image and see which one customers responded to better, which had got a better click-through rate and which had a better conversion rate. And so that's what split testing is. And you can use the softwares like Splitly that we just shared there that will just do it for you, just runs those split tests.
I don't know if you've seen this one yet, Dylan. Did you know that Amazon is offering split testing native inside of Amazon now?
I hadn't seen that yet, but that's nice.
It's new. It's a new function.
Yeah.
So the split testing is available within Amazon now?
I think it's Emmerich was telling me about it yesterday. I think it's in beta, and it is. I'm not dead certain about that, but he was telling me about it. It was for text right now, I think. So it's starting to roll out.
Yeah, gotcha. Like split testing a title, for instance, trying different words or terms in your title and things like that.
Waterboy's asking about taxes. Real quick, you guys said you have a lot of experts in the group. Did you say you had a tax expert in there or any tax people?
Yeah, we use CapForge. CapForge is our CPA and bookkeeper. So that's CapForge. They are an e-commerce based CPA firm. As far as bookkeeping, that's definitely not my strength. Like it's a we've always been more of the guys who hire a bookkeeper or outsource the bookkeeping stuff, but internally you can use programs like QuickBooks or QuickBooks Online. I know a lot of people use that. I actually wouldn't even know how to open it, to be honest. And I've heard Quicken, maybe, is that one of them? Quicken's another one that a lot of folks use. But yeah, there's Xero is one.
Yeah, Xero is another one. Yeah, I think. But if taxes aren't and that sort of thing aren't your strong suit, I highly recommend just having a CPA or a bookkeeper. Just handle it for you. It'll change your life.
Right. This was one of those. It's like they're thinking, "Gosh, Dan seems miserable to answering this question." Dan is never worried about his taxes ever, not once. Because I realized that was not a strong suit, and we handed it off.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely got to focus on your strengths. What would you say? What would you say for somebody who's just confused? They don't think they have the ability to do this. Maybe they've tried. Maybe they got caught in an MLM scheme before. Maybe they've tried starting some other type of online business, and it just didn't take off the way that they thought, the way that they had it envisioned in their head. They really never got to the point where they could do it full time and really provide for themselves. What advice would you have for somebody who just doesn't think they have the ability to do this?
The advice I would give them is, mine and Dylan's may just differ here, but the first advice I would give them is you're probably right. Like, as long as you believe it, as long as you believe you can't do it, you will never do it. Like, owning a business, building a business, doing good things is always harder than people think it is. And that takes some amount of resolve to push through the tough stuff. So I would challenge them I would challenge that person to start believing, get some level of confidence, start believing in yourself, because that's how you make change. That's how that's how you start seeing success, regardless of what you're doing. It's not just about doing it with wholesale. Like, if you're wanting to move forward and build a business, you have to believe in yourself. Like, if you don't, you cannot possibly succeed.
And what I would, I agree with 100%.
Yeah, and it's such a simple, almost like glib answer to give, but it's so true. You have to have confidence in yourself, and I will add on it by saying, like, if you're scared of public speaking, or if you're scared of going out and dancing with a girl, if you're scared of doing something out of your comfort zone, and you haven't educated yourself properly on that topic, you should be scared. If you haven't watched all the Tony Robbins videos, if you haven't watched all the Les Brown videos on how to give a public speech, you should be scared. If you haven't watched, how to make a YouTube video, if you haven't done any research at all, like, you should be scared. But if you do your due diligence and you actually put the work in to learn the craft, if you actually go to dance class, if you actually, watch YouTube videos on salsa dance, that's why I'm bringing that up, then you have no reason to be scared, because you've put in the work to do it. And if you fail, so what? Move on to the next thing. But at least you tried, because there are, like, let's be honest, there are some things that people can't do. Not everybody can be an NFL linebacker. As much as you want to, you can't read a course on how to do it and all of a sudden do it. A lot of people could, but I don't have the build for that. I'm just not, big enough for that. But
you're not manifesting your way to NFL linebacker.
Exactly. I could think all day, but I'm more like a marathon runner or a rock climber or something, or jiu-jitsu. That's what I'm currently doing now. So, just my advice would be, maybe don't enroll in the program, but at least learn from somebody who knows what they're doing, and really just educate yourself as much as possible. I think that is one of my strengths, is just going psycho on YouTube videos, course material. I went through the whole course. I know I'm not supposed to go through the whole course as quick as I did. I went through it in 2 days just to really get a feel for it. I actually had to ask for Rakin's course login, because I know you guys want people to take it slow and take action and actually get a tangible result. But I was like, dude, this course is so good. I want, like, give me your login real quick, dude. I need to get through those last 4 modules. But yeah, I would recommend everybody just take massive action. That's a cure all to fear. And if you're still scared, you're probably going to screw up. So accept it and move on.
I mean, I love what you said right there, that you're probably going to screw up. You're almost definitely going to screw up. We screw up all the time. We make mistakes all the time. But whenever you make mistakes and you're moving forward, it's a lot easier to recover, right? Like, when people get really hurt, it's because they're not taking action and a mistake happens or a problem happens, and then they have to build a solution out of nowhere. But the vast majority of times we're moving forward and mistakes happen because of it. It's a byproduct of us taking action.
Exactly.
And the progress we make, like, you think of it this way: if you're constantly walking forward and say, 70% of the time you take the correct step, right? Like 30% of the time I'm failing. As long as I'm taking enough action, that action will more than accommodate for the amount of failure in there.
Definitely. Yeah, action is, you don't know until you do it. And the cool thing about going through a course is, like, I've gotten to the point where when you guys say certain things, I know you're not just saying it. I know you're saying it because you've done it and you've screwed up. And so taking action and learning from your own mistakes is one thing, but if you can learn from somebody else's mistakes, that's really how you accelerate growth. If you can learn from somebody else's mistakes, then you don't have to go through those mistakes. And it sounds glib to say that, but it's true. Like if I can learn from Dan and Dylan's mistakes, that's like 6 months to 6 years in my business experience. If I take what you say to be true, I trust you guys. So everything you guys say, I take it to be true. And I'm like, okay, there's a reason why they're saying ask for discounts on like every other email after interacting with manufacturers, because like this is very important. Discounts open up an array of opportunity. It's not just, I'm not just going to take it at face value and just leave it there. Okay, like whatever, like I don't have to do that. Like, no, I know you guys have been through it before. About stuff is saying, what should we try to get ungated in first? This is a good question. And I was thinking that if I do this, or when I'm doing this, getting products, I was thinking of focusing on restricted products more, like products that other people are scared to do that I know I can get ungated in. Would you say that that's good advice? And if not, what would you say somebody should just focus on first?
Well, as it relates to the question, I think it's about stuff you've kind of got it backwards. Don't focus on trying to get ungated, because just by doing our business model, reverse sourcing wholesale, you can sell anything. So you don't focus on trying to get ungated first, because that's a waste of time. Focus on trying to find or identify or sell the best possible product, and you will be approved to sell it because you'll be able to follow the simple process of providing the invoices. So you're just wasting time trying to get ungated first, because you will be able to sell whatever product that you want. So don't worry about that. Just find the product that you want to sell, and you'll have approval to sell it by following the process. So you'll save time and energy and thought if you just focus on find the best product first, and don't worry, you'll be able to sell it.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense. I was thinking of going upstream, finding something that nobody else really knows about, and selling that. So maybe I'm getting a little bit too cocky, but
and that's fine. But I mean, really, it's just like whatever. My recommendation is a good places to start for people are typically things where you're a good customer of. So because you're going to understand and know the market and know how to improve the listing better because you're a customer of the product, and it can help you talk about it with the brand a bit more. Like our very first wholesale account ever was that way because Dan knew the product well, and he was able to talk to the one of the. I might have been the owner of the company. I'm not sure if he was the owner at Dan or if he was like
he was a regional sales manager.
Regional sales manager, right? So Dan was able to actually have a real discussion with the guy about the product and was knowledgeable, and that helped, right? And so when you know something about, I don't know if there's any salsa dancing products on Amazon, but if there were, that would be a great place for you to start, right?
There's shoes for sure. Maybe shirts. I was actually thinking, I don't even know if I want to say this on here now because people might come after it. Screw it. I'm going to grab it right now. I'll show you guys.
Oh, look at that.
It's deep in the video, so if someone wants to take this idea, you can. But you guys got my wheels turning here. This is a product that I've actually been working on private labeling, but I'm thinking now maybe I should just focus on establishing a wholesale account with somebody who really needs, and I've watched this company actually has done a good job of optimizing their listing, but I know there's a lot of companies out there with good products, good scanners, and they're not optimizing the listing. So maybe something like this could be good because I understand this product. I know what makes it good. I know why my people buy it. So I think that I could help optimize the listing. So you guys definitely got me thinking over here. But that's really good advice because if you know the product, you're able to look at the listing and be like, why are they putting XYZ? Why aren't they using this word? Like we all looked at when I was over at y'all's place, you guys showed me the hot sauce, and there was what's that brand? I'm forgetting the name again. The main brand that
there's Tabasco, Texas Pete, Sriracha. There are a lot of them that were just getting beat up.
Hot sauce in the listing, so they were not hitting the keyword, and that's kind of like me starting YouTube. I didn't know keywords existed, but people search things on YouTube, people search things on Amazon, and they didn't have hot sauce in the listing. So you guys were able to help them and provide value and say, hey, look, guys, you guys can triple your sales if you just put hot sauce here.
Yeah, it can be as simple as that sometimes.
Waterboy saying unauthorized seller remediation tips and tricks.
So yeah, so just to be clear, that never happens to us because we're always an authorized seller. But Dan does know some tips around that back from some of our arbitrage days. I think that the number one, I think our number one piece of advice is if you can afford it, hire an attorney that specializes that or an expert that specializes that in that to help your account. And if you can't, I think the number one piece of advice is to make sure that you're doing a good job in the email, in the response to Amazon of accepting fault, because you probably were at fault.
Yeah, if let's say that you, what was the specific question? Was it IP related or was it just
Unauthorized seller remediation tips?
So a lot of the way that this manifests itself is brands will report IP violations on sellers, right? The best thing you can, and I consider it a lot of the time to just be absolutely awful advice, like from a liability standpoint, like, and it's, don't worry about it, just keep selling the products or whatever, and it's just like to me that's not great advice. Like I would instead, one of the things we do is we always look at it. Like if I have like 5 units of a product and am I really going to fight to sell my last 5 units if I get some kind of IP thing, or if I get a claim against my product? And it's just not worth it. Like, so my advice would be, the first thing is always look at your situation and don't make decisions or create responses out of emotion rather than ultimately look at what's best for your business in the long term. The next thing is, the best thing you can do is, like, if somebody files a claim against you, your account gets suspended or something like that, which never happens in our model. But if you're an online arbitrage, retail arbitrage seller, and that happens to you, the best thing you can do is hire an attorney and an account specialist that understands that kind of thing. That's sometimes really expensive. I mean, that's an expensive service. You may be well served, and we've had some amount of success with reaching out to the brand and asking them for a retraction and just being like, hey, we're not going to carry your products anymore. Had no idea, wasn't trying to do, wasn't trying to violate your rights or anything like that. And sometimes you'll have a good response, like they can go ahead and issue the retraction, and you just don't carry that line anymore. But that's one of the big changes is and one of the things that have made it slightly more difficult to do one of the more arbitrage style models is because of these snags and potential hiccups exist now. So I think you just have to have to walk through the minefield, so to speak, and
Gotcha.
be as good as possible, be as nice as possible to the people you're working with.
Makes sense. Can you talk a little bit about what exactly someone should expect after going through the course for a few months, and why you guys decided to only open this up once a year? That's
Sure.
right. You only open it up. This is not going to be available for a whole other year, right?
More than likely. It's the way we operate is we, whenever we take on a new class, or we look at it like a college course, and calling the Wholesale Formula course is honestly like it's a disservice to what the program is. Like it has a course component, and that's the digital course that you watch and information aspects. But our program is specifically designed to get people results. Like it is the information component. We also have accountability. We also have direct coaching involved. We have the support systems and structures through our community, through our resource vault, and things like that, to really make it a streamlined approach in terms of somebody comes in, they take these steps, and they start seeing results. So, like, what are you looking at months into the program is, if you walk through the model like we teach and follow our course structure, by the end by the end of the first 5 weeks, you should have a business. You should be sending emails. You should start acquiring accounts. And what's after that? It is, we have the support structures to be able to continue supporting you. Like our business always evolves. Like it's always evolving. We're always testing new strategies. inside of our community, people are always doing that as well. So you tend to see is people who have an established business that continues to grow and change based on the evolutions made within the community.
Yeah, I like that. I like that you said it's not a course. It's more of a coaching program. It's a program that helps you get success via the private community and everything else that's offered. So if you guys want to take advantage of that, that is below. And for a limited amount of time, I am throwing in all of my products as well because I know it's a big investment. So I'm throwing in my products on top of it. And obviously, I'm an affiliate for these guys. I do get a commission. So it makes it worth it for me to give away all of my courses for free. So you guys will get, Ungated Advantage, the online arbitrage course, teaching you how to sell textbooks, the book business blueprint, teaching you how to build a book business from start to finish. You guys are going to get all of that. My employee manuals, everything is included when you enroll in the Wholesale Formula. Waterboy is saying, how does your student even come across that hazmat product? Would it have even come up using Helium search criteria?
It would have. There's nothing that filters out hazmat products on Helium 10 search the way we use it.
Gotcha.
Helium 10 didn't exist back when she found that product, though. She would have been using Jungle Scout most likely at the time. But it doesn't filter out hazmat products.
Gotcha. What would you say is too much money for somebody to invest in like, let's say, for example, I want to put $10,000 into this business. Is there too much money starting out to put into one product? It's like too risky.
It's to me, it's just about risk tolerance and philosophy behind how you run your business. I've read, I've read things that suggest you should only put 10% of an investment into any given product. I've read things that you should go all in if you have a great product. It really depends on what your personal risk aversion is. For us, we are, by nature. I mean, I love gambling. Like I love playing poker. I love stuff like that. So we tend to be, and Dylan also likes poker and games and stuff like that. So we tend to be a little less risk averse than most people. But realistically, I think a good rule of thumb is don't invest. Don't invest into a single product to the point that it would physically hurt your business. We've actually done that several times and got our eyes black pretty good because of it, and had to come up with some pretty creative solutions. But yeah, I think realistically, I think a good rule of thumb would probably be maybe 25%, no more than 25% of your product, your own company.
Gotcha.
Change that as you grow and get more experience.
Yeah, makes sense. That's one of the biggest mistakes I made in online arbitrage. I found one book and I was like, this is a book that's going to make me all the money. And then it tanked in price. And I was like, wow, I shouldn't have put, I put over 25%. I put a lot of money into one book that tanked. So I'm pretty risk adverse now, which I think is a good thing. I learned the hard way. So I think that about wraps it up. We're an hour, 47 minutes in here. Would you guys have any last words to say to anybody who's kind of on the fence about getting started, whether or not they should enroll in the program, whether or not they should start in wholesale? What advice would you have for those people?
I would say just take some time, join that Facebook group, watch the recaps from our event that we did last week. And if you've only got about 40 hours to be able to do that before we take all that down. But that will help alleviate and answer so many of your questions and help you really see what it is that we do and if it makes sense for you. So that's my recommendation is we've got all that information, all that content out available for you that you can watch right now. Just check it out and do that, and it'll all make sense to you then.
Right, and then if it doesn't make sense, like you're able to utilize the free material. But like Dylan said, there's a sunset date on that one. So make sure you do it sooner than later. Get in there, check out the free material, see if it is something that makes sense for you, and if not, use the free material for what it is as a jump start to your current business. But I think ultimately, wholesale is a great it's a great transition for people who are wanting to make a move and have more products come to them. It's the same transition we made from retail arbitrage to wholesale. And if you're motivated and want to do it, it's absolutely doable. But more than anything, I would just say take action and start working towards your goals. Like if your goals are to, if your goals are to own a business that is more scalable, like you should start taking the steps today.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on this channel again for an extensive amount of time today. It was awesome having you two here, picking your brains, and thanks for providing that value to my audience. And anybody who is ready to get started right now and take massive action, they don't want to wait any longer, the link is below to the Wholesale Formula, including all my bonuses. For anybody that wants to feel out the content a little more, you don't know if you trust these guys yet, go check out the Facebook group. That link will be in about 10 minutes. I'll have that link below. So if you guys want to refresh this video in about 10 minutes, that will be down there in the description. And yeah, that's it, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Any last words, guys?
Take action. Do something awesome.
All right, guys. Peace out. Much love.